女士们、先生们，接下来我们要欢迎的这位朋友呢，是当下流行的 AI GC 应用 MidJourney 的创始人 Mr. David Loors。我们一起来看看他的视频分享。
Hi everyone, I'm David Holes, the founder and CEO of MidJourney. Thank you, Mr. Chen, and the city of Shanghai for the invitation today. I'm honored to be involved in WAIC, and I look forward to attending one day in person. I think one of the most important technologies in the world is the engine. An engine is a machine to generate, transfer, or amplify emotion. And we use engines to build all kinds of vehicles, like cars and airplanes and boats. It's important to think of AI as a new kind of engine. And at MidJourney, we're trying to use that engine to build a new kind of vehicle. Not so much a vehicle for motion, but a vehicle for our minds and imagination. Just like how you move through the world with the use of a car, but we still use our legs, we want to be able to create a new kind of vehicle that you can use to not move through, but imagine through. And I think before we create, we must first imagine. We have to imagine what we can be, where we can go, and just, what's possible. I think the tools we're making, more than anything, are focused on amplifying the sort of raw force and power of imagination. And I think broadly, there's an opportunity to amplify not just like any individual, but effectively the imaginative powers of the entire human species. I visited China many times with Leap Motion in the past. Leap Motion's first office was in Shanghai. There's something about Shanghai I really love. It kind of feels like a combination of San Francisco, LA, New York, maybe some of the older cities of Europe all combined. It has sort of power of the sort of ancient history and the culture of that, the sort of the raw future. And that's just really, really cool. My two favorite things to read, actually, I pretty much just read science fiction, like the craziest futures I can get a hold of, and ancient Chinese literature. I think ancient Chinese literature has some of the most beautiful, deep thinking of human history, really. The name MidJourney actually came from one of my favorite translations of an ancient Taoist text, but it came from Zhuangzi, like the butterfly dream, the happiness of fish, the master butcher, the useless tree, the empty boat. I love those. And the reason why I love the word MidJourney is I feel like it's easy to sometimes forget the past. And it's kind of easy to feel like that, to feel kind of lost and uncertain about the future. But more than anything, I feel like we're actually MidJourney, and that we come from this rich and beautiful past, and ahead of us is this wild and unimaginable, like unfathomable future. So we recently released MidJourney 5.2. We're working on 5.3 before a major release, which I hope to call version 6. The latest features we introduced were around zooming outside of images and in sort of changing the prompt. So as you zoom away, you can create different stories and environments around the kind of central subject. And then this week, we're releasing a similar feature, which lets you pan the camera, and then kind of as you move the camera sideways to keep changing the prompts and then tell stories. We also released this weird control, which is a way to kind of to get more control over the image. And you can combine it with a sort of style control. The names are kind of confusing, but the idea is that you want to be able to tell the AI how beautiful to make something, but also how much risk you want to take in making that beauty unconventional, chaotic, weird, but sometimes really great. And sometimes you need to kind of take a risk with aesthetics, and this lets people kind of control the balance between sort of the riskiness and the randomness of the beauty, or how much to kind of focus on the conventional general beauty of the image. We also introduced this thing we call turbo mode, And turbo mode is where we just use as many GPUs as possible to make images really fast. I think it's 4 or 5 times faster. I think you're actually using something like 64 A100 GPUs at the same time, which is like more than $500,000 of computers, which is kind of crazy. We're also working on crazier technologies. A lot of it's further out, but we think over time MidJourney will evolve to create not just 2D images, but 3D images, moving images, and things where you kind of interact with the pixels themselves and draw, and everything kind of reflows and changes based off your sort of like drawing type things in real time. You know, maybe in the future, people have just like this giant AI processor, and then it kind of dreams all of these different worlds, and the dreaming kind of interacts with our minds, and we kind of dream through it too. That would be really cool. Discoveries around diffusion models, transform models, clip models are what got me actually to enter the image space. It was about 2 years ago. Before any of the services were out, we were just all talking in San Francisco, all the researchers. I remember saying that it really just felt like these, particularly diffusion models were jumped out at me at the time, just felt really different, particularly from GAN technology, which was the previous thing that everyone used to make images. And I just remember everyone really just immediately nodding in an unusual way, saying, yeah, the diffusion models are really different. And it felt really serious and felt like something that I had to get involved in to try to bring a more humanist user interface angle. But in terms of the future, it's hard to know exactly what the technology looks like. You know, sometimes we talk about right now how maybe language models will move towards diffusion models, meaning like maybe we'll be using diffusion models to make text, or maybe the image models will become more like the language models, where they'll be, the technical term would be an auto-regressive transformer, or maybe things will become hybrid models. It's really hard to know. I think we're just at the beginning of this space, but I'm 100% sure that there's a lot of progress to be made. 10x, 100x, probably inevitable. And the progress on that level is not just in raw performance, but in the user interfaces and the products that allow us to use those raw technologies, like both individually and collectively, to just like make really cool things and they can be better and solve problems. Douglas Engelbart was actually the first one to create the text editor. So originally there was this, we used to program computers with punch cards where you punched holes in the cards. But then Douglas Engelbart said, what if we programmed computers with computers? Which sounded crazy at the time. And the idea is that by programming a computer on a computer would sort of accelerate the loop and make us better at doing things and make computers better and just amplify everything. And, you know, that worked. Although we have these different cultures like AI and then these sort of HCI, IA, human interface, intelligence amplification cultures, I think that most of the progress so far in technology has come from trying to make people better and trying to amplify the abilities of people. We haven't really seen yet, like in some ways, the real age of AI happen, where we have sort of independent AIs going and solving things. And I think that if we think too much about doing that, we might miss a lot of the opportunity that is present in technology. And I think a lot about not just what can the AI do, but sort of how to create flow and entanglement between the different things. Because a tool shouldn't feel like a person. It should feel like an extension of yourself, of your body, of your mind. And I think a lot about how to build these technologies where it sort of interweaves and it feels like not that you're working with an artist, but that you're almost just imagining something and it's appearing on the screen. A lot of people describe this with MidJourney, where it feels almost like it's a part of their minds. And I think that's kind of how a lot of this AI should be, is it should feel like an extension of ourselves. I think that's it. So I'd like to express my thanks again to Mr. Chen and the entire audience WAIC. It's very cool to be part of this event. I hope I can make it in person in the future. I'm excited in general to be working more with China, and I remember all of my wonderful experiences in person there. hope everybody enjoys interacting with it out there too. So, thank you.
谢谢，让我们掌声谢谢 David Horse， 谢谢他今天给我们带来的这个分享，非常的不容易，谢谢。